Hey ladies and gents, it's Zembak, and we are doing raiding in Avorion, or pirating, or villainy, whatever you want to call it. We're stealing shit and selling it. That's fucking, there you go, best word for it. So, let's go over some real basics here. So the entire economy of Avorion is the same out here in the Iron as it is in the Avorion, right? They produce the same materials. There's mining robots, war robots, there's electromagnets, all that stuff out here produced in factories are the same stuff that's produced here, here, and here, all through here. So there's no difference in materials that are produced, and there is no difference in cost. The only big difference in the stuff that you're stealing is the amounts. Out here, you're gonna blow up ships and factories and all that kind of stuff, and you're gonna get 100 units maybe, right? Where if you blow something up down here, you're gonna get thousands of units, right? The ships are just bigger, they carry more material compared to out here. These are gonna be tiny ships, these are gonna be huge ships. So that's the big difference between these two. As you move your way down into the center is the amount of material, the amount of goods that the ship is carrying. The other difference is, of course, the stations that you're selling your stuff to. Out here, a station like a military outpost might only buy 200 to 300 units. And a station down in here might buy 25,000 units. So if you have 4,000 units or whatever, taking your stuff out to sell out here, it's going to take you forever to get rid of it. So that's the big difference in the goods in Avorion. I mean, there's no difference in the goods, but the difference in location while you're playing it is less material, less goods out here, less the ability to sell the goods in the Iron. The further out as you go, as you come down in here, there'll be more and more goods and more places to sell the goods at. So, with that said, let's talk about ships. Like I said, there's a couple things that you got to remember when you're doing this, is to make sure you have a adequate ship. This is my new battleship, the Excalibur. Yeah, I have this thing for swords, right? And I'm almost done with this design. I just have a few places where I gotta, knock up finish filling in the holes and stuff. But for the most part, it is completely done. I like it how it looks. I've fucked with this thing about 87 billion times, and I finally have it looking pretty snazzy. I like the whole blade thing. I like the pointy thing and all that kind of stuff. But what we're really looking at here is, of course, the cargo hold. This has a 60,000 unit cargo hold. Now, and I can use this if you're going to turn into a pure battleship. I build my ship so I can take off the bottom, like right here, take this off, and replace the cargo bays with more shielding and more whatnot. But most of the time I keep these battleships so I can raid with. And for example, this one right here has 60,000 in cargo holds, right? So this is a perfect ship for doing it, especially in the center of the galaxy where I'm using this ship. Out on the fringes, something with, say, 5,000 cargo holds would be plenty fine, because you're not going to be getting that much material. Right? Following me? Okay. The other thing is when you take your ship on raids, you want to make sure you have extra crew. I always carry extra crew with me just in case, and I'll show you why. Right now, I don't have any extra crew with me. I'm gonna have to. Oh yeah, I do have some extra crew here. Right here, about 200 extra crew here if I need it, that I can transfer from being mechanics to whatever. So that's actually probably enough for what I'm doing here, and I do have extra crew here for the sergeants. So yeah, I do have extra crew already in my ready to go in my ship. But yeah, I can take up to 8,000. So if you could add as much crew as you want, and I'll explain to you why as we raid, why it's important to have extra crew on your ship before you go raiding. So what we're looking at here is, of course, we have factions that are friendly to us. For example, here, then the green, these guys admire me. These guys up here admire me. And when you do get a faction that you are friendly with and you want to keep as a friend, you want to make sure you scout out each and every one of these little green dots. You're looking for specific sectors, such as this one right here, that has a repair dock, equipment dock, a military outpost, a shipyard. All those stuff right there will buy most of your junk, and you want to like I said, obviously know where these places are at. Same way with, over here, this one has the resource, not just the resource, but it has the repair dock, and it has a research station. So you want to know where this stuff is at all times, because this is where you're going to be selling most of your junk. You also want as a smuggler outpost. Here's one right here, because I sell a lot of stuff to these guys, and another one right here, because I sell a lot of stuff to these guys, faction-wise. Same way with here, actually within the barrier, I sell a lot of stuff to these guys, and I sell a lot of stuff to these guys, and of course I have a smuggler's hideout right there to unbrand stuff. You can also build your own smuggler's hideout, and I'll show you kind of an idea where to put them. But for the most part, so now that's the other, so now that you've found where you want to drop or where you want to sell your stuff and how to clean it, we will go through that. This is going to be a long video because you're going to have to we'll go raid, we'll come back, unbrand all of the stuff that we stole, and then we're going to turn around and sell it. The last raid I just went on, I made 300 million, and that's typically as much. I try to get at least between 200 to 300 million minimum when I do these raids, just because it does take a little bit of time, so I want to get as much as I can out of it. The other thing is to remember is that if you want to keep good faction relations with this faction or this faction, you don't want to be raiding relatively close to these factions that you're friendly with. Why? Because if you're raiding, say, in this faction right here, one that hates me, if I'm raiding inside this sector, and one of these ships from the Ajuxi or Juxi or these guys are in that system while I'm raiding and I'm blowing up freighters, they're going to get pissed, right? Because obviously you're being a pirate. So you don't want to be raiding relatively close to anybody that you have good relations with, right? So if they see you pirating or being a raider, that doesn't go over well. Your standings will drop with this faction. So what you're typically looking for is wormholes. Here's entrance to one wormhole, and it goes over here across the map to this wormhole. So when I can raid here and not worry about these guys finding out that I'm being a pirate, right? Yeah. Same way with this right here. This section right here, this group of the army of Uvqua, these guys are fighting with these guys. So these guys do not care if I'm over here blowing up cargo ships. That's the two ways to make sure you don't ruin your reputation with other factions or factions that you trade with. So typically I'm always looking for wormholes that can take me from a friendly faction out to a spot where I can raid. Yeah, so that's one of the key things about is constantly exploring and finding out where all this stuff is jumping sector to sector and to find it, right? And that's typically what I do. So now most of the times at these wormholes, I usually put, for example, this one right here has a mine in it. Sometimes I put trading posts. Sometimes I put smuggler posts at the end of these wormholes, especially if I use this wormhole a lot. For example, I used early on in the game. This is what I was using quite often. Now, what's interesting is about these wormholes, especially they go from here to here, they always jump to a sector that's similar material, right? So this is a Xanian sector. This wormhole always takes me, almost every wormhole will always take me to the sector that's got very similar material. This, of course, goes to another Xanian sector, right? Same way with, you'll never see this one jump all the way out to the iron somewhere out here. It just doesn't happen, right? These wormholes always go to a similar sector or similar material sector, right? So, for example, this wormhole that jumps all the way across here, there's one here. It jumps, and this is the Xanian sector. It jumps all the way across to the other side, which is the Xanian sector, right? Same way with this wormhole down here, starting here. This is an iron wormhole right here, and where it jumps to is also relative iron titanium, right? So every wormhole will jump usually within its own sector or own material sector. It doesn't get, you don't get one that jumps from iron all the way to Xanian. You just don't get those wormholes. Most all the wormholes are usually within that material sector. So that's always nice to remember, is if I got a good faction here in the Xanian, wherever I'm going to raid in the wormhole will also be a Xanian section, which means it's going to have similar amounts of material on the ships and similar amounts of materials that they're going to buy. So with that said, let's jump back in here. There's my wormhole and there's my mine. Now this is a little trick I like to do. So for the most part, all my ships, when I'm building things like, say, for example, railguns, right? As I raid, this is from the last raid, I picked up materials for my railguns, Gauss rails, conductors, and this is for building turrets. So if I'm stealing it, I don't have to buy it. So this is saving me money. I just make sure I keep them, right? I keep all this stuff on hand before I decide to go build these new turrets, new guns and stuff. I always get the materials usually from the stuff I stole. So I always keep this stuff. I don't sell it because this stuff is expensive. It's $13,000 a unit for electromagnetic charge, and I got it for free. I didn't have to pay for it. So if you're building turrets, you got to make sure you look up the materials that you need to build the turret, and then make sure you try to keep a track of that so you can pick up the materials as you steal it. Even if you have to unbrand it as a stolen, and which is what I use these stations for. This one's of course a gold mine right here. Not only am I making money as it's producing gold, I also use it as a depot. So in case I decided, well, okay, you know what, I just stole a bunch of shit, I just sold a bunch of stuff, and I still have a bunch of stuff laying around here, but I don't want to carry it with me. I build all my stations the same way. I usually put a large amount of storage on them, so I can just roll in here, and once I get close enough, and I can interact here, or I can dock with it, I should say, and let's see, come on boys, jump in there, there we go, and I'm going to interact with it. I'm going to go down here to the bottom, and I'm going to transfer out this. See, I have almost I have a bunch of gold and platinum here, but this is almost empty cargo space. So I'm just going to transfer all this stuff out so it clears up cargo room on mine. So now when I need these parts, I can always just come back to this station and pick them up. 3,000 high pressure tubes, all that kind of stuff, which I will use later on. And of course, this doesn't have to be a mine. It can be a smuggler's den. It can be a trading post. Whatever you decide to build, you can leave it here, and just all it does is it's just a depot as you collect your stuff. I have them scattered across the galaxy at the end of these wormholes, depending on what I'm raiding at the time. So, all right, so we got that taken care of, and we're going to move on our way into to do some raiding here. And the rating doesn't really matter wherever you're at. It doesn't matter if you're here or there. It's the same thing. You want to have some decent ship with cargo holds, something that's going to stand up to a fight. So now, what I'm looking for here is very specific. We're actually going to jump out here. I'll jump down to about there, and then we'll look at the map here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. These guys are headhunters. These guys are pissed at me, as usual. So every time I jump into the sector, I usually get hounded by these guys. So, let's get that knocked out of the way here. We're going to jump out shortly. We'll move away from them before they start launching torpedoes, because that's what they do. Because everybody wants to kill you in this game. All the fucking time. They want to kill you. So, let's pick up this. Sometimes the wait on this is super long. I don't have actually any cooldown on this ship, but it's just a matter of trying to figure out the jump route. So off we go. All right, now we're going to look at it, since I don't have to worry about it getting shot by the torpedoes all the time. So this is I've been raiding for a little bit. I haven't really got into this one. Usually why I don't raid this is for a good reason, is the materials involved here. So you're looking at these and you're going, well, what do we want to raid here? So a solar power plant, noble metal mine, gas collector. Going in here and blowing up ships in here is going to produce shit because they're just solar power plants, right? Ships traveling in this sector are probably carrying materials back and forth, and you're not going to get much out of it. Same way with this one. Trading post, oil rig, gas collector. There's nothing there that's worth any money. So there's no point in raiding in these kind of sectors unless you're going to blow these gas collector up and collect the material off of them, that kind of stuff. Same way with this one, a wheat farm, a steel factory, a rice farm. There's nothing there that's worth spending a bunch of time. However, looking around, and this is the whole exploring thing, I did find, for example, this one is the ice mine, lead mine. Once again, nothing here worth stealing, right? Oh, so what? I get a bunch of copper, whatever. However, these two sectors over here, this is a research station, and this is a mining robot, a target factory, a Tesla coil, and a trading post. So, the material that's flowing in and out of these systems are probably usually high dollar materials. Specifically, this one, the research station, has, in essence, there's only one piece of material. It doesn't produce anything, but it buys only high-end, high-dollar goods. Right? The cheapest thing that's available at this station is 6,000 credits. That it goes all the way up to 120,000. So these are the kind of stations you want to be watching or looking for as much as possible. Is these ones. You want to find these kind of spots that have really good stations in them that produce or receive decent money here. And the Zotan found me. What a bunch of dicks. Good thing I just got those new railguns. And one more. And I'll show you what I'm talking about with those railguns, because they are stupid good. Now, so we're going to go in there. We're going to start raiding with the... Here you are in the galaxy. They're pretty much all the same. They're going to have some defense ships. Usually, I've already cleaned this sector of defense ships. Once you blow up all the defense ships in the sector, they never respawn, right? So, we got a couple possibilities here. There's our research station. And we have a freighter currently inbound. We can do a couple different things here. We can, of course, blow it up. Or we can tell it to give me all your cargo, which is a couple different things. One, they can either do it, for example, like they're doing right now, or they will instantly jump out of here. So telling them to give me all your cargo might backfire on you, and they might just simply jump away and leave you with nothing, or you blow it up. Like, for example, here, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to blow it up. And it did drop a little bit of cargo here. We're going to see here what exactly was involved. You want to make sure when you do this that you have pick up stolen cargo on behavior activated. So you can drop in here and see what's going on. So this doesn't look like a big haul right here, but I'm probably guessing that this is not going to be junk. It's not going to be a bunch of sheep or cows or fertilizer or whatever. There's probably going to be some decent things coming in here. So this one's coming in. He's at 12 kilometers. Let's see what he's got with him. So it's a cargo hauler of about 81,000. So it's got a fair about more than this one does. So we've blown that one up, and this is where these salvage fighters come in handy. I'm going to drop my salvage fighters onto that cargo wreck, and then they're going to go down there. They're going to start salvaging that cargo wreck. The thing about wrecks is when you blow them up, it doesn't mean that you've blown up all the cargo areas. So there's probably more times than not in a broken down wreck, there might be cargo that's still hidden in the wreck. So I use salvage fighters. One, I collect tons of material when I go raiding, because every ship I blow up, I drop my salvage fighters, they salvage the wreck, and they blow it up enough to see if there's any hidden items still in the ship. And that right now, you just saw that happen. They just blew that up, and you just saw all the materials that blew out from inside of it. So there was a cargo bay there that didn't get blown up when I blew up the ship. And yeah, so we picked up 28. How many did we get? 34 at 65,000 credits. Not too shabby, not great, but not too bad. So like I said, research stations, always high-end stuff. I've never been disappointed for what comes in here. So we got another cargo hauler coming in here, and we'll try this one again. Give me all your cargo. It worked again. But sometimes it doesn't work, and they just fucking jump out, and you leave you with nothing. So now my salvage fighters have worked over the wreck there. They've broken it up into nice small pieces, and they've uncovered any possible cargo that didn't come out the first time. So I'm going to call these guys back while I wait for... And you have to wait a certain amount of time. I believe it's a minute, something like that, every time you blow up a wreck to get the cargo out of it. And we're just going to pull in here to this pile of debris, and we're going to pick up all these juicy little bits and whatever cargo that was inside of it. Ooh, fusion generators. Love those. Fusion generators are 40k a piece. And we picked up another... Oh, yep. That was a little bit later for that one to come out. Alright, so we're just going to wait for the fusion generators. And like I said, this is what I was talking about, the high-end materials, right? Fusion generators right now, these are all looking pretty decent, you know. There's 34 of those, 17 of those. And of course, these aren't real big ships, so you're not going to get a whole lot. You know, obviously, if this would have been out on the iron part of the game, you probably would have got 10, right? As you further go in, if I get into the Avorion sections, they get a lot bigger. And of course, occasionally you just run into some of these huge ones where you'll end up with literally maybe 1,000 fusion generators. It's kind of a luck of a draw, really. So we've got our fighters loaded, and we're going to fly over here and pick up whatever this ship dropped. And then we're going to talk about blowing up stations for material, or raids, I should say. One, they usually provide a crap ton more than ships do, and two, they provide a crap ton of material for you to salvage. This is probably where I get 90% of my... so I have 10 million Avorion, 6 million Trinium, 6 million Xanian. Most of this stuff was taken from the Rex that I created. In fact, this is actually just showing what the Alliance has. I think I'm sitting on another 300 million here and another 720. So if I transfer all this stuff over to here, obviously this is from my last raid, was the 300 million from my last raid, which turned out pretty well. So let's pick up the last little bit here. You know, and that's kind of the weird thing about this system if you're not familiar with it. This is my alliance. This is my alliance, and this is mine. You can transfer back and forth. You know, actually I have 300 billion here, and I could just say, you know what, I'm going to send that much to my... And then it transfers the money to the Alliance, so everybody in the Alliance can use this. Pretty sweet. So, I think I picked up something. What did I pick up here? Cargo bay, and I picked up stolen turbines, stolen satellites, stolen fusion generators. Yeah, so I picked up a little bit of everything there. Stolen turbines, 52 of them. Alright, so I could sit here all day and just constantly pick off ships going in here and making some serious cash. However, we're going to do some station rating. So, where's your home sector? -140 to -116. Alright, so where's that at? There's 140. And there is the home sector. So what are we looking for home sector for stations? Well, first we want the high end ones, military outposts, research stations, shipyards, stuff like that. Usually all have high end shit to steal or goods to steal. So besides doing the ship part of it, I also raid stations and blow them up, especially if they have no value. This is just, for example, one easy way to blow up a bunch of stuff. So what do we want here? We want, let's see here, back out here. We're going to find ourselves there he is. The military post. He's 27 kilometers away. He looks like a big one too. This will be pretty sweet. I always like it when they're large like that because they usually carry a fair amount of equipment. So now usually there's anywhere from a fair amount of defense bots here, and these guys are right here are just once you blow these up, you don't ever have to worry when you come back that they don't respawn, and you can just simply come back in here and start raiding again. So once you blow them up, they're just gone. Yep, and this is the Xanian. Yeah, they're all Xanian, 143,000 Xanian. Alright, so we're going to blow up some of these defense because we don't want to constantly be hassled by these guys while I steal your fucking... I steal everything! Yes, I steal everything. Alright, we'll blow you up. Alright, so what do we got here? 25 million hull for 12 million shields. Ah, lovely. So let's start working off here. We're just going to have to start working our way through the shields. And this is why I always have energy based and of course rail guns, cannons, whatever you got, projectiles. The energy based weapons work through shields pretty quick. As they overheat, then I can switch back to my regular rail guns and just take my time slowly but surely while I wait for my energy ones to come back down. It usually takes longer to burn through the shields than it does anything else. In fact, it usually takes just a matter of a few, maybe a minute to burn through 25 million with hull, especially with railguns. Railguns do a really nice job against hulls. So apparently them guys are still fucking around with me or still following me here. I don't see them anywhere yet. Nobody shot at me. So life is still good. So back to the energy weapons. On this battleship, I don't have the big guns on it like I do on Durandal. That one actually has 270,000 Omicron. This one only got about 60,000. I have to seriously start trying to find some more upgraded guns and all that kind of stuff. Oh crap, I do have fighters. What am I doing? Let's drop these fighters in here so they can start working on this as well. Ooh, that military post has some stuff as well. So we're going to leave the fighters at it. We're going to take care of these guys, these crap ton of... I guess there's only one of them. Yeah, we don't want you to blow up my fighters. We'll just knock you out. Yep, you're gone. So that means the fighters are working that guy over too. They don't do a whole lot of damage because I don't have a full complement there, but they do enough to keep the numbers running here while I'm... Oh, come on, man. Lucky there's only like one or two left. I think this is actually the second to the last one. We'll just blow him up quick. Like I said, once these guys are dead, you never have to worry about it when you come back. They're just gone. If I can hit something. Yeah, looks like there's one more way over there. Oh yeah, destroyer. Well, let's see if we can blow him up from a ways out. Yeah, no, he did. Alright, so my fighters are gonna working the station over. So some of the nice automation that I don't have to do with it myself. And we're gonna get back to see if we can finish off this station, and then we're gonna salvage it as much as we can. So Constantly switching through railguns, energy weapons, just to get as much out as I can. Of course, you can see my energy weapons heat up. So we're gonna, once they heat up, drop that guy, and then we're just gonna go back to railguns until they cool down. So I'm constantly keeping them cool and in charge here. So, like I said, got the fighters working these guys over a little bit here. Yeah, we're down to 50% already. Like I said, it goes a lot quicker with the railguns when you actually get to when you have to put some damage here to the hull. Like I said, the 25 million isn't going to be that bad. It's just getting through this through the shields, and of course you can switch that out when you get into the game here. Go into build mode, switch over some more energy weapons. However, I'm not really all that concerned because it, like I said, doesn't really take a whole lot of time to blow through these shields. And like I said, once I get the shields down, the railguns will go through the pretty quickly here. Now, I've already used up a lot of energy using those lightning turrets. So let's just keep at it here, and we'll switch back to. Yep, uses up a lot of energy. Those guns. They're at 25%. This is, this is only 25 million. I've run into stations in the center that are 95 million. So if you really want to do this station rating, you got to make sure you're carrying pretty big Omicron rating to do that, or a shit ton of torpedoes. Kind of your choice. I prefer, for the most part, just to use the guns because it costs you a crap ton of money to run. It might take you 50 to 100 torpedoes to take down a station like this, which, if you're figuring that out cost-wise, is pretty damn expensive in the long run here. So we're almost through this here. Once, like I said, once we get down to the hull, you'll see what I mean with the railguns, how effective they are against taking out these large targets. There we go. Now we got our railgun. Oh, there's 2 million. There's another 1 million. See, the great thing about railguns is they penetrate more than one block. So not only they doing damage to the one block, that they for every block they're doing the same amount of damage, right? So if you're following me, so if this penetrates 9 blocks, it's doing that 10,000 damage 9 times, right? That's why you're seeing such these huge numbers. And you almost see I'm also flipping around looking for the big blocks. There's a 2 million. Yeah, so I'm looking for the big blocks that I can get as much penetration as I can. There we go. It's 100,000. There we go. 1.5 million. And we'll blow up another one. And we almost got it blown up. There we go. So that is 5,652,000 Xanian. So let's bring you guys back, and we're gonna drop our salvage fighters. And we also, like I said, we've dropped some. Oh, we got our defense guys coming in here. They're gonna stop me from taking over their shit and stealing it. Fortunately, I've already killed everything, buddy. Yeah, there we go. Last one. Is there one more on the other side? So now you've seen it's already dropped some goods. Maybe that's the word for it. There's already some goods that got drops after the first initial explosion right there. Yeah. We're going to see if we can get that here shortly. We'll take out the last of the defenders. Yeah, there we go. So now it looks like a pretty good chunk of change right there. Looks like there's going to be a fair amount. Problem is getting to it. Well, we can do one of two things. If I had some cargo shuttles, we could do cargo shuttles and get them out. Or, for the most part, we're just going to back up here just a little bit. Get my big fat nose into the station. And we're just going to give it just a little bit of a nudge. Doesn't take much. Well, maybe I have to get a shoulder into it. It's a big station, right? It's as big as my ship. What we're just doing is just a little bit of nudge here. Let's see if that helps. All we're trying to do is just get it to move a little bit so I can pick up the stolen goods. Yep, there she goes. And almost out of the way completely. There we go. So now we've picked up some electro explosive charges, some guns, some body armor. Right? Ooh, there's a war robots. Let's see what else we get here. Oh yeah, there we go. So there we go. Some nice stuff. Now, that was the first initial chunk right there, right? That's now most people just let this go. Maybe that's all they're gonna do. You know, we picked up a lot of stolen stuff, which is fine. But the good stuff is yet to come. This is just, so we got 4 stolen vehicles, 4 robots. So we're gonna have to sell this for a loss. Not a loss. We're only gonna get 15% of smugglers smugglers den, or we're unbranded and we're still gonna lose a little bit of money before we sell it. It's just a fraction, but we still have to, unbrand it. It's going to cost us money, so we're not going to get the full amount average credit out of this stuff. However, it's still a station, so there is still a crap ton of cargo left inside this this is a big station, probably one of the largest ones I've ever seen. But yeah, this is, for the most part, still has a lot of cargo in it. We just have to blow up the cargo, eventually get to it, I should say, which is going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take a while for your fighters to do it. Here, and I'll also show you a little trick here. If you got these fighters, these salvage fighters, and you want to use them, we're going to push I'll go over here, whoops, and we'll highlight them. Right, and then what we're going to do is, what I like to do is, if I can catch the little bastard. I'm sure there's a way to do this without having to do it this way. Come on. There we go. We can enter the fighter, right? And this is what I was talking about earlier with the salvage, right? We're looking for specific blocks, and this expedites pretty quickly with having to sit here and wait for these guys to do it, to do the entire station. I can just simply jump in and start picking out the individual blocks myself. So I'm getting the real big chunks that I want before. Otherwise, the AI will just continually going over one spot, and they'll eventually burn their way through the wreck. But this, for the most part, is the quickest way to salvage this wreck, because I can do it literally by myself. I can pick out the big, nice chunks of Avorion or Xanian that I want. Oh, there's a nice chunk up there. We just throw up there, blow it up. See, and I'm getting just the big stuff, right? I'm not worried about, oh, look at those big chunks. I'm not worried about the whole pieces. I just want big chunks of Avorion, right? So we're just going to go in here. We're just going to keep working this. There we go. We got that big chunk. We're going to get this big chunk. We're up to 136,000. Hey, there we go. And these little fighters are kind of fun, actually. You can zoom around and pick up a bunch of stuff. instead of using your big ship. So, let's see, do I get most of the Avorion out of this chunk? Yeah, I think so. Easiest way to salvage right here. It beats trying to do it with a with your ship, because this just is easier to get in there. And like I said, you can pick out each individual piece, what you want, and all that kind of stuff. So we're just going to salvage this quick. There we go. Ooh, there we go. Nice big chunk. Oh, just headhunters. Let's see here. Let's get a couple more big chunks of this Xanian. I'm not going to take the whole thing. We'll be here for weeks. Well, not weeks. Just a while. Like I said, this is a big honkin' wreck. And for the most part, we've got some nice big chunks here. You know, I'll probably end up getting 1 million out of this thing, maybe 2 million if I really wanted to spend the time and effort to blow it all up or take out every chunk. But since we're doing the video here, I'm just showing you a few little tricks or whatever to help you. All right, so that's probably enough of this. So we're just going to jump back into my ship, and it's time to find that hidden treasure. You know, there we go. As soon as we get rid of these headhunting assholes, they can. Yep. So I took a big chunk of that 5 million off just by doing it myself. And these guys are getting close enough now where it's starting to be a threat. Yeah, let's just knock you out quick. That's the blocker right there in case I decide to have to jump right away. And a couple of torpedo firing assholes. Aha. There we go. Come on, buddy. And these guys, like I said, are usually, for the most part, just a pain in the ass. Because after you destroy the defense fighters here, those are the only ones that actually show up to mess with you. So, back over we go. And now we're going to start looking for the good stuff. Alright, so we'll just let the fighters continue to work, but we're just going to start chewing through the blocks. Alright, and we're looking for the hidden cargo bays, the bays that didn't get blown up when it first initially exploded. We didn't get all the cargo bays. So this takes a little bit of time. Like I said, you could spend the time and effort to salvage all of it, or what I'm doing here is just I'm going to blow it up and try to find that cargo base. I guess really efficiency-wise, if you really wanted all the Xanian out of this, you just have to sit and wait, and eventually you would get all of the Xanian plus find the hidden cargo bays. There better be hidden cargo bays here. I'm going to be pissed. No, there usually is. There's usually always something in here that's not... Right, come on. Things about it is you can't really tell where everything's at. Alright, there we go. Get the big guns out. This thing blows up blocks really nice. Come on. Usually, maybe it's in this chunk. Ah, there they were. So this stuff right here is usually not going to be considered stolen. This will be just regular loot. This is the stuff you're going to get that you're not going to have to, of course, unbrand, right? So, yeah, we just blew up the rest of the wreck here. And we're going to get all the free shit out of that. Plus there's some turrets in there, it looks like. possibly some systems. We'll just bully this stuff out of the way. Yeah, there's a few things. So push that out of the way here, and we're going to bring our fighters in here, and we're just going to wait for our fighters to get in here and of course pick up the stolen goods. Or not stolen goods. There's usually just a little bit of waiting time here to pick them up. So now if you guys understand what I'm trying to say is don't always assume that the wreck has coughed up all of its treasures. For example, most of the time what happens with these big, huge stations is that you take out the initial cargo bay and it drops it as considered stolen goods, and then you have to work your way through. There might be a chance there's probably more stolen goods or more goods inside the station. If I wanted to spend the time to chop it all up into little pieces to get all of it, yeah, go ahead. I'm in no real big need of cash right now, so I'm just going to try to get this done, at least for the video here. So I'm just going to start picking up my, hopefully, pick up the rest of my doesn't look like he wants to load. He's being a little pain. Come on, buddy, get in here. Get back to my ship. There we go. And see, now this stuff is not considered stolen. Stuff is actually going to be easy just to sell. So we're going to pick so there was a couple, looks like there was a couple cargo bays. Here we go. Gain 7 vehicles, 640 explosive charge, 2,000 medical supplies. Not the greatest. Not like stuff that comes out of the research station, but for the most part, pretty decent cash makers, money makers. We're talking body armor is about 95. We only got 5 of those. Vehicles, targeting systems, not too bad. Guns, 1,300. Electromagnetic charges, we're keeping those. Explosive charges, 1,400. Medical supplies, 3,000. Ammunition for the most part, not really great. Like I said, nothing high end. I mean, I could obviously dump some of this stuff if I really didn't want it for the most part here. So I've picked up my fighters. Make sure my fighters are all on board. Yep. Let's get out of here. We'll just leave that for next time I'm in the area. I might finish salvaging it, picking up the rest of the junk out of it later. So, once again, like I said, warp lines. There's a nice one right there. We'll jump back into him, and he takes us all the way up to here. And I can jump out of him, and we can always pick up the smuggler hideout there, and then on over here to sell our stuff, because that's how it works, right? So, if you haven't did the smuggler thing, we're going to do the smuggler thing, and then we'll talk about the actual selling of these stolen goods. Mr. Wormhole. So I'm not even close to being filled up on my cargo bays. I still have 38,000 for my cargo bays. And this is what I was talking about earlier about the extra crew. If you find a spot that's fucking insanely rich, a good spot that you get into and there's lots of material and you're getting a lot of good stuff, I usually always just simply do is add cargo bays as I'm stealing it, because eventually you're going to fill up your cargo bay, and then you're going to run out of cargo room, and either you got to get rid of it or whatever. But that's the nice thing about this, is that you can simply add more cargo space to your ship. And there I went from 60,000 cargo units to 209,000 cargo units. So this is going to obviously have a detrimental effect on my ship for maneuvering, and of course with this added space I need more crew. That was the whole point of making sure you take more crew with you, because you can simply just, alright, so I got too many of something here, yeah, whatever, but you get what I'm saying is, if you carry enough crew with you, you can cover this, and obviously put in the workforce up here, have extra 300 or 400 here or whatever that you can add in here to make up for increasing your cargo area. Since I don't need that, I'm just going to delete it. But that's the general idea behind it, is to make sure that if you're adding cargo space as you're raiding, that you have the crew to cover it. You know, and I've had this fucking thing look like there was 3 stacks above it, below it, and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't know any better, and I wasn't picking up the high-end stuff. I was just picking up whatever I could get a hold of, which is including fertilizer, corn, sheep. Who the fuck grows sheep in space? Wood. Fucking wood. Like sometimes you raid and you're like, that's all you get is like ships full of wood in space. Because, you know. Alright, so we've picked up that. And we've jumped through here, which saved, of course, with the wormholes, it saves your jump drive. And, of course, a lot of jumping. And we're just going to jump back in here. And you got to find these connections. Just spend the time to explore and go where the good stuff is at, plus where I can get rid of it here. So we've moved into the smuggler's den here. Where you at, buddy? Ah, there you are. These guys I don't have a good reputation with, so they might shoot at us. Might. Eventually I'm going to harvest this smuggler's hideout for its material and goods that I will steal from the stealers. That makes sense? Probably not. But we're going to roll in here to the smuggler's hideout, and we'll get rid of some of the stolen stuff, and we'll have reran some of the stolen stuff. Yeah, fuck you, Botan. You'd think after a while you just take their shit over and over and over again, they just get a little upset with you. Just a little bit. Apparently there is no honor among thieves. Alright, so let's move up in here. Dock is right there. Docket. So here we got the possibility of sell stolen goods. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to sell and goods. So you have 2 options. You can unbrand, which means you'll take the brand off these and you can turn around and sell them anywhere. Or you can sell the stolen goods. And now, for the most part, there's nothing here that's... I usually only do this unless it's close to 1,000 credits, worth 1,000 credits. For example, the stolen food bars, I'm not going to spend the money to unbrand them, so I'll just simply sell them here. Same way with, for example, the ammunition. Not really worth my time or effort to unbrand them and then try to go sell them. Right? So, what we got left over looks like it's all pretty decent stuff. So we're going to unbrand these pieces here, so I can turn around, or these goods, so I can turn around and sell them at my factions that I'm friendly with, because they won't buy stolen goods. So you have to unbrand them to make it work. So now if I go to my holds, everything I have in here is now not stolen, right? And there's nothing, there's nothing spectacular about it, but we have a general idea. So ammunitions, medical supplies, since we raided that military outpost, then we're probably going to sell the stuff at the military outpost. Same way with, almost all this stuff. Same way with the turbines and the satellites and the fusion generators. We got that from a research station. We're going to sell it to a research station. And this is, like I said, once again, comes into what you're looking for. We want something that's got a research station and a military station. There we go. Since I already know where it's at, pretty easy to find. And we're just going to flip it back around here and get ready to go. Now, before I take off, of course, we are going to have to add our trading. Here's our trading here. Displays, prices, and goods. Trading system. So we're going to drop that in the scanner upgrade. So when we jump to the next system, it's already activated. It'll give you a trading overview, what's going on, and all that kind of happy horse shit. So that guy's still shooting at me because he's a dick. Alright. Just waiting for the stupid thing to finish calculating the jump, and we can jump in there and start selling our stolen goods like a true pirate that you are. Oh, and actually, let's see how fast this thing goes. We have some clear sailing. We got the turbos on. It's not even close to how big engines I could put, I guess, on this thing. I should just put that couple other great upgrades on there for velocity and see how far I can get up to. I think I've had this up to 7,000 maybe. I got to kind of feather it that to get before I completely run out of energy. Alright, so trading system is up. We'll pull this over here. Sell the stations. We have military outpost, military outpost, military outpost, military outpost, and of course body armor. Same way with electromagnetic charges to the military post and to the planetary food bars to the military post. And of course the research station wants the generators, and this is what's nice because it shows you the percentage of what's over. So it's getting me 28% more than what they're worth at the 29% at the ice station. Military outpost, military at 28% over. Always nice to know that. Research station wants satellites, and they're paying 28% more than they are worth. And same way with targeting systems. They're paying 30% more than they're worth. Sometimes you'll get counter offers here. For example, whatever, 27%, 29%, 9% over it for trading posts. You might, if you don't want to, if you want to, you're still going to make money. But if you want to go crazy, you can obviously go look. So the military post is the 29% compared to 9%. So guess what? The military post is getting the 25 vehicles because fuck you, used car dealership. So that's rating, right? If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them for you guys. So you guys have a good night, and thanks for watching.